in one accord. The Israelite body should partake of the bread, the whole wheat unleavened flesh of Yeshua and the blood of Yeshua and nothing else, because it says, whoever eats of the sacrifices of the altar participate in the altar itself. So here's the answer to your email, sweetheart. When you go to your daughter's house and to your son's house so you don't offend them, you are still offending the great I am. And you are to love your daughter, and you are to love your son on December 24th. There are 364 days that you could love your son and that you could love your daughter. But not on that day. On that day, come out from among them, and be ye separate, saith Yahweh, and touch not the unclean thing. And I will receive you to myself, and you will be my sons and daughters, saith Yahweh Almighty. 2 Corinthians 6:14 through 17. Does anybody get the spirit of this? You know what the spirit of Christmas is? You want to be honest? You know what the spirit of Christmas is? Coming out from among them and being separate and fleeing idolatry. That's the spirit of Christmas. So-called. Look at verse 19. What then do I say? Rav Shaul says. That the idol is anything? Or that which is offered in sacrifice to idols is anything? In other words, Christmas is idolatry. We know that. But the things that are done in regard to Christmas are those things sacrificed to the Elohim of Christmas, which we know is Santa Claus, which we know is Saint Nick, which was a bishop from Babylon. And remember, don't forget this, Bert, remember this. The reason it's Mystery Babylon is because it is the same place that Nebuchadnezzar and Nimrod set up shop, but now it's divided into different nations. Syria, Iran, Iraq, and we look for Babylon on a map and we can't find it. We think, according to Hal Lindsey and Jack Van Impe, it moved to the west and it's now the Roman Catholic Church, and thereby, if it's possible, even the very elect have been deceived if it were possible. Because now we think Babylon is mysterious, so it can't be the area of the Chaldees or the land of the Chaldees, so it's moved west into Europe and we've fallen into the trap of the enemy. The reason it's a mystery is it's right where it's always been. But it goes under a few different names, including Santa Claus, and so we're confused. It's mystery. Nimrod has gotten smart. He doesn't show up as Nimrod anymore. He shows up in many guises. I had somebody tell me, your whole doctrine about the Antichrist is wrong. About the end times and Islam. You're crazy. Because it's Babylon. Mystery Babylon. We know the Catholic Church is Mystery Babylon. Jerusalem is Jerusalem. Israel is Israel. Babylon is Babylon. And those places never moved. It's right where it's always been. That's why it's a mystery. Just like Yeshua. You know why Yeshua is a mystery to the world? He's exactly where he's always been. At the right hand of the Father. You'll find him at the same place now that you found him 2,000 years ago. So it's a mystery to the whole world because they're looking for him in you. Ooh, 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 ooh. Leave me alone. Why are you staring at me, man? I'm looking for the Christ consciousness. I'm looking for Christ consciousness in you, man. So now we're not looking to the right hand of the Father. We're looking for that conscious spark. I'm looking for the spark. You know where Yeshua is now, brothers and sisters? He's in the same place he's always been, at the right hand of Yahweh, the Father. That's why it's a mystery. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Now look at this, verse 20. So sharing in idolatry, go back to verse 19. Rav Shaul says, so we're talking about the principle of Pesach procedures, but procedures for any paganism. How to avoid those pitfalls. Verse 19. What then do I say? That the idol of Christmas or Santa Claus is anything? No. Or that which is offered in sacrifice to idols is anything? No. Those things are silly and they're vain. However, sharing in idolatry is vanity and has no value attached to it. Sharing in idolatry is vain and an abominable practice. Verse 20. But I say, now, don't miss this now. Because I know I'm going to offend somebody, if not in here, somebody in the radio audience. So don't miss this because I've never offended anybody before. This would probably be the first time. So please stay with me. This is a first-time event. Verse 20. But I say that the things that the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to Shadim, demons, and not to Elohah. I would not, my Corinthian Israelite brethren, that you have Chavurah with Shadim. Notice, anyone who partakes of demons by any name, coming from any throne, the throne of Satan, whatever, any idolatrous, demonic practices, means you are a Gentile. And Gentile means pagan. It does not mean non-Jewish believer. It means pagan. There are two types of believers. Those from the house of Judah, or Jewish believers. Those from the nations. And the Greek word and the Aramaic word should be nations, ethnos, not Gentiles. Gentiles, there's no such thing as a saved Gentile. Saved Gentile is an oxymoron, like military intelligence or clean pig. It's an oxymoron. So, if someone is partaking in any kind of demonic practice, when they know it's a demonic practice, and they are sacrificing their lives, their children, their thoughts, their lifestyle to Shadim, demons, and not to Elohah, which is the Aramaic word for Elohim, he's saying that they are offering Gentile worship. 1 John 5:21, Bnei Yisrael, flee idolatry. If you're Bnei Yisrael, you will not bow to the demons of Christmas. It's not, should I, could I, would I, mom did, she did, they did, I have a date, I gotta be somewhere, there's pressure, I'm under stress, I'm under a lot of pressure. That's not the issue. The issue is, are you Israel? If you're Israel, you must guard yourself from idolatry. If you're not Israel, and you are partaking of the Christmas celebration, be it known unto you, you are acting out of character. You are saved and you're acting like a dumb Gentile. And if you look up Gentile in the dictionary, it says pagan. Sorry, Yeshua didn't die to clean up pagans. Everybody washed in the blood of Yeshua is an Israelite and a member of the Commonwealth of Israel. Somebody give him praise in the house of Yahweh today. If you partake of that, Yahweh. If you partake of that, you are acting out of character. You are Bnei Israel, and here you are acting like a Gentile. Because Gentiles, now don't miss this, Gentiles continually sacrifice to demons. They can't stop. Because as soon as they start sacrificing and loving Yahweh, the Elohim of Israel, they cease to be a Gentile. Does that make any sense? So we love Yahweh. And if we love Yahweh, we have no choice. Our choice is to obey Him or not to obey Him. But if we obey Him, we have no choice to keep any festival or any celebration that idols have been joined to. Look at this. Gentile worship, Rav Shaul tells us, is demon worship. Gentiles worship demons. That's why there are no such thing as Gentile believers. Please, if you remember nothing else in your sojourn with this ministry, remember, repeat, and reiterate to yourself, I am not a Gentile. I am not a Gentile. I don't act like a Gentile. I don't behave like a Gentile. I don't accept it, because a Gentile means an unsaved heathen. And I love Yeshua. I love His Father, Yahweh, the Elohim of Israel. Therefore, I am not a Gentile. But if I am an Israelite and I do those things that the Gentiles do, here's the bad news. I've tapped into their demons. Because Gentiles are full of demons. Gentiles are attached and attracted to demons through their practice. Go ahead and give Him praise. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. So that's what Yeshua is saying. Look here. That's what Yeshua is saying. He's saying, look guys, the things the Gentiles do are sacrifices to Shadim and not to Elohah. Please, brethren, do not have Chavurah, fellowship, with Shadim. By the way, how many have ever heard the term El Shaddai? We heard it today in worship. Zebach Todah was leading us in worship. And Bruno and the team is doing a wonderful job. Amen. El Shaddai, El Shaddai, Eloyam Adonai. Most folks don't know what they're saying. They think El Shaddai means the Most High Elohim. No, it doesn't. It means the Most High Master over all Shadim. there are Shadim, demons, and then there is the Elohim of the Shadim, El Shaddai, the Elohim of all spirits. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. El Shaddai, the El of all Shadim. We worship, we love, we serve. We pay homage and do reverence to the Elohim of all Shadim. El Shaddai. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Why? Why are we not to partake? Look at verse 20. So whatever the Gentiles do, they do to demons. And not to Elohah. So verse 21 says, Israel is us. And verse 18, Israel, after the flesh, that's us, we're Israelites in the flesh, don't they eat what is left over from the altar? Yes. So in other words, if you are a Gentile, don't ask questions about what's on the altar. If you're an Israelite, you need to ask questions about what's on the altar. And I've rewritten the Restoration Scriptures. I made an error here that I didn't correct. In the next edition, matter of fact, if you give me a compact edition, you'll see it's going to read differently. If anybody has a compact edition, Anna, come on. I hope that I made the change, but I may not. But I think I did. It may read a little bit differently. Thank you. Hi. I'm going to give it back to you. Let me just check. Okay, let's see. I may not have made it into this printing, but this is very important. Okay? Very important. Or you're in 1 Chronicles.
I got to go to 1 Corinthians.
Thank you, Abba. Thank you, Abba. Okay, you're gonna really be kissing me today. All right, we're in for the long haul here. Okay, I'm gonna try to go quickly, so I'm gonna save this. Let me hold on to this, and I'll give it back to you in a jiffy. Okay. So let's move on to where I can share that with you. So, Israelites are responsible, verse 18, what altar they are what? What altar they are participating in. Correct. Because the Israelites eat from the altar of the Israelite priesthood. Should New Covenant believer priests serve and then eat from a Gentile altar? I'll say that again. Should New Covenant believer priests first serve, or worse, or just as bad, eat from a Gentile altar? That's the whole point here. That's what Rav Shaul is saying here. You shouldn't serve at a Gentile altar, and neither should you eat from a... So it's a redundant question. It's a rhetorical question. What is a rhetorical question? The answer is obvious. Should you attend any sort of a Christmas celebration when those who are practicing Gentile practice... Now, I'm not calling your loved ones Gentiles, and I'm not calling your loved ones unsaved. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. What I said was they are practicing things that pagans practice. You understand what I'm saying? I didn't say they're not saved. I didn't say they're not born again. I can't make that judgment. All right? I can't make that judgment. But what I can say is, if they're doing things that obviously come from an unclean altar, you ought not be putting your time, your effort, and your fork into that thing. The real spirit of Christmas, if there is such a thing, and there isn't, is to come out from among them. And be ye separate, saith Yahweh, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you unto myself. That's the real spirit that Yahweh honors. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. So, let's move on. So Israelites are to examine the altar and then determine, is the practice honoring Shadim or is the practice honoring El Shaddai? Are you with me? Some folks are not with me, they got tired, they had an appointment. Guess what? Guess what? I don't care. I'm going to keep going. I'm not stopping. I'm tired of dead preachers preaching dead sermons to dead congregations. I said, Amen.
Amen.
Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. So, Britt, 1 John 5:21 already told you, Britt, guard yourself. Rabbi may not be there. Wifey Pooh may not be there. You ought to know what altar is clean and what altar is not clean. And you shouldn't have to email an internet person to ask them, should you go to your daughter or your son's house for Christmas? Love them, care for them, nurture them, but also come out from among them to make a statement. You want to share a ham? Not happening. You want to share turkey? The 26th is fine. What are you doing on the 26th? What are you doing on the 27th? 25th? Sorry, I'm in prayer. I'm listening. I'm out of commission on the 25th. Now is what I wanted to show you. Verse 21. Hey, brothers, you cannot drink the Kiddush cup, that's the cup of wine, for the Pesach procedures. You cannot drink the Kiddush cup of Yahweh and the cup of Shadim. You can't. Out of the same mouth you cannot proceed bitter and sweet, blessing and cursing. Your body is either for Yahweh or it's shared with Shadim. If it's shared with Shadim, it's not fully consecrated and set apart to Yahweh. It's not a matter, is Rabbi Moshe right or is Rabbi Moshe very extreme? The answer is yes. Even if he is very extreme, Yahweh is a radical Yahweh. He wants all of you. You're bought with a price. Therefore glorify Yahweh in your body and your spirit, which are Yahweh, somebody. That's what I'm talking about. You cannot drink the Kiddush cup, meaning, can I modernize this for you, Daryl? You can't come to Bnei Yeshua on Shabbos and go to the First Presbyterian Church on the Lord's Day. You can't come here for Pesach and then, not to offend the family, show up 3 days later for Ishtar. You can't. Choose this day whom you will serve. The Bible is a book of choices. You go from one choice to another, and through the Ruach HaKodesh, you have the ability to make the right choice. Todah Rabba Yahweh. I said Todah Rabba Yahweh. Brethren, you cannot drink the Kiddush cup of Pesach and the cup of Shadim. It's the Master's Supper. Once a year we take the Master's Supper. People ask me, how often do we take communion? It says in 1 Corinthians, as often as you do this in remembrance of me. Yeshua didn't come to add 4 Passovers a month. He said, come on guys, don't ask silly questions. Whenever you do it, according to Leviticus 23, just add me into the picture. That doesn't mean we do communion once a month or twice a month. People say, oh, the word says as often as you do it, so how often? Well, how often did the Master do it? Once a year. That's when you celebrate communion. Once a year. Honor him. Make it special. Not common. You cannot be partakers of Yahweh Shulchan on Pesach and the Shulchan of Shadim on Christmas. You cannot be partakers of Yahweh Shulchan on the Moadim and then be partakers of the Shulchan of Shadim. It's either or. You can't be seated at 2 tables at once. Verse 22. Do we provoke Yahweh to be jealous? No, he doesn't get jealous. Are we able to bend his will? Are we stronger than he is? No. Although knowing the world, you look at Santa Claus and it seems like he's omnipotent. Sharing Christmas with a heathen and then sharing the beautiful things of Torah is not permitted, it is not proper for the one who comes to Yeshua's table. This is a clear warning, listen, against syncretism and the mixing of the tahor with the tamai. What is tahor? Pure. What is tamai? Profane. You cannot mix the tahor with the tamai. Learn Hebrew. It's good. It's chicken soup for your walk with Yeshua. Don't say, oh, I don't know. It's too much Hebrew there. It's too much. We all get started in the same place. We all start this walk in the same place. It's the Jews I got a problem with. Oh, there's too much Hebrew. The Ephraimites want more, want more, want more. Give me more. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Scripture is clear. The Christmas celebration is an altar that does not belong to Yahweh. Verse 23. All things are permitted for me, but not all things are profitable. All things are permitted for me, but not everything will build up my emunah and my commitment to the Father. Now, here's where, praise Yahweh through Rabbi Matthew Nolan, who loves this work and this congregation. See, we all need to learn, right? Just because I have a title in front of my name doesn't mean I can't learn, right? And I learned this. Now Zachariah, we learned this at the conference. Now watch how a comma or a letter can change the entire meaning. First I'm going to read it to you from the way it used to read in the Restoration Scriptures, and then I'm going to correct it in regard to Christmas. We got to go fast, a lot to cover. Okay, verse 23. Verse 24. Let no man seek his own interest, meaning family, personal, putting your personal interest first, but every man another's well-being and welfare. So in other words, we shouldn't partake of the altar of Christmas in any way. If we love our brother and if we love our family, you ought to not participate in those things. Because what kind of love? They're never going to come to the truth if they see you going to their altar instead of waiting for them to come to your altar. That's not love. Compromise is not love. It's convenient. Compromise is convenient. It's the easy thing to do. But that's not love. Look at this. Love, staying away from those clearly Gentile practices. They may be saved, they may be born again, but their lifestyle hasn't been resurrected. Their lifestyle hasn't been changed. And so if we are seeking, we already know the truth about Christmas or a pagan practice. If we really have another person's well-being and welfare at heart, we will show them a different altar and not show up at their altar. Come on now. We will show them a better way. We won't condemn them. We'll show them a better way. We'll lead them to a better altar. No, you come to my house for Hanukkah. Why? Because without Hanukkah, the temple would have been destroyed. If the temple would have been destroyed, there would have been no Jewish people. And if there would have been no Jewish people 150 years later, Moshiach couldn't have been born. You come to my altar, and that's how I put you first and your welfare first, because I already know the truth about Christmas, but I want you to come to the Tahor altar, to the Kadosh altar. That's love. Telling the truth in love. And I'm not going to get personal here. I have the same conflict in my family. And it's very difficult to deal with. And there's a Christmas tree in somebody's house in my family. So guess where I'm going to be on Tuesday? I'm not going to be at their house. Now on the other days, I come to their house, and of course I always turn my back to the tree. So, for example, the tree is in the sur, yo se siente in the north. In other words, I don't look at that ugly sucker, I put the tree behind me. You with me? But I won't be there on the 25th. Go ahead and eat your brisket and eat your ham. Papa and Mama and everybody else that knows the truth is not showing up. Now, thank you, Daryl. How long have you been this way, brother? About 5 years? Yeah. Thank you, brother. Let no man seek his own interests only, but every man another's well-being and welfare. Verse 25. Okay, since Yeshua, let's move around here. Since Yeshua is master and stronger than all demons, he tells us that demon practices are not profitable and do not build us up. They do not set apart our faith. They only provoke him in a way, but not to jealousy. You know what makes Yahweh jealous? Check this out. When we love him and do righteousness. He's not going to get jealous when we partake of pagan altars. Lloyd, you know what gets Yahweh jealous? When we love him and keep his commandments, he's jealous to guard us and keep us in the way. But if we eat and participate in pagan altars, are we able to provoke him? No. Are we able to make Yahweh jealous? No. So the only way we make Yahweh jealous is to love him, and he's jealous because he wants more and more and more and more of our love. He doesn't want our love to be shared with anybody else. So we can't make him jealous at all.